So what we'll be learning today is we will be learning about the trend of a stock, right? Or even life cycle of a company, and why life cycle or understanding a company is more important. Today I'll be discussing with one of a practical example. We'll take a stock or a company like Aarti Industries, right? Recommendation of buy or a sell, but let's study how important is the life cycle of a company to decide on the investing perspective, right? So just to summarize the entire discussion, what we have in this next couple of minutes is every company, be it a short term or be it a long term company, it has to go through the entire cycle. For few companies, it may take couple of months. For few companies, it may take couple of years to complete the entire cycle. Basically, the four stages of a stock, right? So I'll be sharing my screen and let's deep dive on the entire life cycle of a stock and why it is important for us to enter during the trend we will be focusing today. So we'll be dividing this discussion in first understanding the entire holistic view about the life cycle, and what are the benefits of entering during the trend also we will understand. So first of all, life cycle. Every company, right, every stock with which you are analyzing, you should focus on, right, you should focus on which stage the company is in, right, which stage the company is in. For example, this is something where everyone would remember, right? This is what we have learned in college. What are the four basic stages of a company? So, any company which is in the introductory phase, that is the starting stage, where if you look at the audience, right, the audience will be like early adopters, the market will be very small. Sales wise, yes, it is just at the very tag initial start, right? Even in the pharmaceutical companies, if you see, the sales will be very low at the very introductory stage. Competition, yes, low. Business focus is more about awareness, right? The market will come to know, yes, there is one more additional player who have entered into this particular segment, right? Design focus will be in the tuning part, right? They just will test out whether the products are working, right? They just tune themselves to fit into that industry. These are like very early adopters, just like your startups, beginners, introductory phase. The second important cycle is the growth phase. This is the mainstream phase. So every company which is in this kind of a phase is more important. And when we say we have to average up, we normally average up stocks which are in the growth phase, right? We try to increase our positions during this. So now, here, if you understand, whenever a particular stock is in a high momentum or in the growth trajectory, it is very difficult for it to stop until and unless there is a strong pressure, maybe like huge selling or some uh, geopolitical situation or some external factor impacting the growth of the stock. Except for that, this is a phase where it will continue for a very longer period, and this is the golden period. We have to stay in it, right? We have to stay in it, and this is where the market of the company will be improving, will be growing. Sales also will be picking up, right? Sales also will be picking up. Competition, yes, at a moderate level. The business focus would be to accumulate more and more market share, right? To accumulate more and more market share. Yes, if you look fundamentally, we see that the quarterly growth in sales, profits, earnings per share will be increasing, right? So it is trying to take that market share, right? The growth will be observing fundamental. If you look at the numbers wise, you can check in screener as well. Technically, how to identify this growth phase? You will get strong candles, higher high, higher lows, which means, let's say, if this is how the stock is moving, right? This is how the stock is moving. So this is a high, this is HH, right? Higher high. And this is again a higher high, a next high, higher high, right? Similarly, this is a low, this is a higher low. Yes, this is a low, but still the next higher low. This is HL, higher low, higher low, higher low, right? So to identify a growth phase, technically, we have to observe the pattern of higher high and higher low, right? Technically, fundamentally, we observe that the company is going to take the market share. Sales will be increasing, profits, earnings per share will be moving, it will be increasing. And this is where the company will scale, right? Scaling means increasing more in its particular segment. Maturity cycle, the third phase, which is very important. So this is the phase where the company has increased its market share, and there is no strong demand after that, which is either making the share to move high, or even there is no weakness that it is dropping, right? So it is in a maturity. So this is called as basing stage, right? Basing. So how do the stock move technically? The stock just moves sideways, right? Sideways, and a base will be created during maturity phase. And that's a very important level to watch out, where the stock will either break, and this is the phase where we can watch out carefully. And if the stock is going down, this is the phase we have to exit, right? If it is going down, that leads to a decline phase, that which is the fourth phase, right? Which is the fourth phase. So yes, in stage 3, we will have a late adopters, or even the market share will be large there, but the sales will be flattened, and the competition, yes, definitely it will be very higher. Business focus will be on customer retention, right? So that if the customer share or the market share is losing, it will lead to the declining phase, right? Declining phase. And the last phase, which is decline, is something which we have to be very careful, right? We'll be discussing about some of the stocks also, practical examples, to make you understand this much better, right? And in the decline phase, where we see the market share contracting, right? It will be losing out in its value. There are no additional products which are being added, or the market share is not further increasing, it will be leading into the declining phase. And that is the phase we have to avoid, right? So whoever are adding a stock when it is declining, right? When it is declining, if the market share, if fundamentally, if you look at it, if the market share is contracting, right? The sales is moderate or even reducing, right? And even the other parameters, the competition wise, or even business focus or the design focus wise, if a company is transitioning itself, changing the entire product segment, or there are key personnel in the company, be it like the promoters or the chief financial officers, right? CFOs, or even the finance head of the company is continuously changing, right? If there is a weakness in fundamentals and the price wise also, what did we observe here? This is the phase where we observe higher high, higher low kind of a pattern, right? And in the decline phase, we observe a chart which is like this, right? So we will be observing a lower high, right? This is a low, right? Sorry, this is a low, right? This is a lower low, right? This is a lower low. Similarly, this is a high. This is a lower high, right? LH. So this kind of a pattern, if you are seeing, that is a decline phase. So that's why I say, if you add a company during this decline phase, during this phase, if fundamentals are also getting weaker, it can even go bad. And that's why we do not wish to catch a falling knife, right? We do not wish to catch a falling knife, right? So the entire process of the life cycle of a company, so innovators, right? This entire phase, we can consider it as a introduction phase, mainly for pharma. When you have your R&D expenditure going on, right? That is a very early stage and in introduction. And this is the phase where we will look at the growth related, right? Growth and maturity and decline, right? Maturity and decline. So what I will do, let me give you some examples, right? Let me give you some examples. So I'll be showing a stock let me know which stage is that particular stock in, right? Which stage is that particular stock in? Okay, so let me share my screen. So based on the learning what you had on stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, if I show you Aarti Industries, right? Aarti Industries, I am looking at the screen on a weekly time frame. So yeah, if you look at the stock, even under your weekly, yes, this entire phase from the COVID period, it is phenomenally good in a growth phase, right? After that, it has entered into a decline phase, right? So if you try to add during this down phase, we will be bleeding, right? We'll be bleeding. And again, from October, in the last 6 months, right? In the last 6 months, it has started its upward journey, right? Its upward journey. And what did I tell you? Every company has a life cycle, right? Has a life cycle. Now, let's look at one more very interesting learning, right? One more very interesting learning. If you see here, yes, during September, right? During September 22, if I just draw a cup like this, right? If I just draw a cup like this, okay? So normally, any company, when it is in an uptrend, it builds a cup pattern like this, right? This is called as cup pattern, right? Cup pattern. Now, when there is a pattern which is exhibiting like this, any stock, right? Any stock you are tracking, whenever the cup is completed by around 60 percentage, right? By 60 percentage, and there is a good supply of volume that is coming up, that is a company where we should be tracking, right? Where you should be tracking, right? Now, couple of pointers to analyze. First thing, yes, when it is increasing in the growth phase, we need to focus on it. And what did we study? Higher high, higher low formation, right? If you see here, yes, the particular candles, higher high, this is a high, this is its next high, right? Even if you see the low, a higher low formation, that is good. Beyond that, volumes, when there is a lot of buying interest that is happening, that is good. And even, sir, how to decide whether the buyers are too strong? You see this blue line in your volume indicator, this is your average volume. When the buying is happening more than average volume, yes, there is a lot of buying interest happening here, right? That is confirming. Third aspect, when you see a cup pattern, when 60 percentage of the cup is being formed, right? When 60 percentage of the cup is being formed, that is a very interesting chart pattern to observe, right? A very interesting chart pattern. So it's not that immediately that this would be advancing. We will just look at the price and the volume confirmation, and every up move we can add. So let's say the same cup pattern, right? If I just draw like this, right? If I just draw like this, even during this period when it is breaking out, good volumes have come, right? Even here, good volumes have come. And if I draw my support and resistance levels, right? Support and resistance levels. So these are all the resistance levels it was able to break out. And even this level of 690, right? This level of 690, which is a breakout from almost May 21, which is like a 3 years breakout, it was successfully able to break out, right? And its next resistance would be at 775, right? And the next resistance would be at 840, right? And the next resistance would be at 900 levels, right? So these are the target levels where if the same kind of a volume is picking up and the price is picking, right, it will try to complete its entire cup pattern, right? It will try to complete its entire cup pattern. So stock market is all about, right? Stock market is all about the more number of odds you take into your odds, right? So yes, when the overall market is looking good, when the sector is doing well, when there is a lot of buying interest coming, volumes are also increasing, and the stock is in stage 2, it's completing a cup pattern, it is able to break out its resistance, And whenever the breakout of resistance is happening with strong volume, that is good. Even if you see here at 557 level, when it has broken the resistance, volumes have been good, right? Even right now here, if you see, right, the breakout volumes are almost equal to the average volumes, right? Let me give you one more example. Let me know which stage is this particular stock in, right? Which stage this particular stock in? Is it into the introductory phase? Is it into the growth phase? Or is it into the maturity phase? Or is it into declining phase, right? Give me a I for introductory, G for growth, and M for maturity, and D for decline, right? D for decline. So this is in maturity phase, right? This is in maturity. And these are like long-term companies we are discussing. Go and study this company, right? Go and study this company. Aarti Industries, SRF Limited, go and study. So if you look at it, broadly, fundamentals are decent, right? Fundamentals are decent. Technically, there is no huge price action. So if you see here, yes, this is a company from almost uh from almost 2021 August, right? 2021 August, it is just forming a base, right? Forming a base. No huge buyers, no huge sellers. It is in the basing phase, right? A consolidation phase. One, what we need to watch out for, if it is able to successfully break out this level and again start its growth phase, it will be very, very important zone to watch out, right? We have to watch closely whether it is able to break out. If not, if it is not able to sustain, and if there are more sellers coming, if it is declining below this, this is the phase where we need to exit, right? Here, if you see, yes, it has attempted to move, but again it has reversed. Here also it has attempted to move below, it has reversed. Here also it has attempted, but again it has reversed, right? Similarly, multiple touch pointers to break the resistance zone of 2645, which it was not able to break out. Even here it has touched, it was not able to. So now it forms very interesting to check whether it can successfully break out, right? And please understand, the longer the base, the better would it be if it is able to break out, right? So we have to watch out whether would it be in the growth phase or whether it would be in the decline phase. As we see the particular chart right now, chances of declining is less until and unless the present quarter, right? Q4, January 24, February 24, and March 24. If there are any surprises in the numbers, maybe it may decline, but we can keep in our radar. If it starts its growth phase, we can observe this more closely. Similarly, you can keep a radar of your companies in the short term also. Let's say, sir, I'm looking in short term, right? I'm looking in short term. Maybe I'll give you an example. Let me know in the chat box which stage is Policy Bazaar in, right? Which stage is in Policy Bazaar, right? Is it introductory, growth, maturity, or decline, right? Introductory, growth, maturity, or decline, right? Obvious. The answer is very clear, right? Answer is very clear. It's in a clear growth phase, right? It's in a clear growth phase. And until and unless there is a huge selling pressure, we do not disturb. And the same observation, right? See, as I say, person who tries to accelerate his learning curve, who tries to learn or is open to new ideas or open to scale their learning will always succeed, right? The same chart, if you have been analyzing during this time, right? During this basing. So either you apply on a long-term weekly chart, you either apply on a weekly long-term chart, or either you apply on a daily chart. The learning is the same, right? So during Jan 2024, sir, yes, it has created a good base. It is in consolidation zone from almost July, 6 months it is consolidating. And in January, I'll be waiting whether it will break out or whether it will break down below this stage. It has broken down. It has broken up, right? It was a good breakout. Then it started the growth. What did we discuss? In the growth phase, we keep adding. We keep accumulating, right? So whoever have been accumulating would have had a decent growth, right? Would have a decent growth. I'm just giving you couple of examples, right? Couple of examples. How many of you feel, sir, this is literally mind blowing? Give me an MB in the chat box, right? MB or mind blowing in the chat box, right? Mind blowing. Even data patterns, right? Data patterns, if you see on a short term, right? It's slowly accumulating some very good strength, right? It's very good strength. Even you look in the railways, right? Majority of the railway stocks are in the um, basing phase, right? You look at IRFC, you look at RVNL, they are just in the basing, consolidating phase. Once we see that uptrend, we would be entering there, right? Your Zomato Limited, couple of quarters before, when they have announced their positive numbers, right? When it has started the growth phase, that is where we have to ride. What people do, they do the opposite. Sir, I enter during the declining phase. Paytm has started declining, so yes, I'll add. As further decline, I'll add more, because with the expectation of increasing. But you do not know, fundamentally there are a lot of problems which may come up in the future. Regulatory problems came, and recently the finance officer has resigned. Because of that, it has further declined, right? So declining phase is ideally the phase where you exit as soon as possible. Growth phase is where you ride. So the simple equation or formula in equity market or the stock market is, your winners, you keep riding them long. Your losers, you try to cut ASAP, as soon as possible, right? From this life cycle, right? Life cycle, whatever we have discussed now, practically with a lot of examples, these are the benefits of entering during the trend, right? 98% of the winning stocks make their real profits during the growth phase, right? During the stage 2. And here is the point where big institutions start buying, right? When the volumes are increasing, we see a tremendous growth in volume. The green bars at the bottom, it is nothing but institutions are adding up there, right? Institutions are adding up. So the success ratio would generally be higher when you are entering during a growth phase. And always remember, do not have a goal or do not have a target to purchase the stock at the lowest point, or even exiting the stock at the highest point, right? Your goal should be to buy at the right time when it is in the growth phase, right? Sir, a stock has completed its consolidation and it has started the growth phase, but I was not able to pick the lowest point, right? It's okay. We are not attempting here to buy at the lowest point. Let me give you an example. Sir, the stock is in a consolidation phase from almost 6 months, 8 months. And yes, it has started the growth phase. But yes, I was not able to enter at this point when the growth has started. Or I was not able to enter at this point, right? You need not enter at the lowest point, right? You just need to ensure that yes, it is in a good growth trajectory, and you just need to enter at the right time. And if the growth phase is happening technically and fundamentally also, yes, quarter on quarter, right? QOQ, quarter on quarter, the sales is improving, earnings is improving. It's a good confluence that yes, your trade is something which you have taken right? Which you have taken right. So this life cycle is the same. Either you are analyzing a short term or a long term stock. It's just that for few companies, the life cycle can complete in couple of months. For few companies, it will take couple of years to complete. Okay. So I hope everyone loved this discussion, right? If you learned something new today, type new below, right? Type new below. Okay. Thank you.